One of the topics I wanted to talk to you about is one that I've been asked several times, and I just never really had the time to explore, to research. I only had experience one time in my life with this type of person. And so I think it's important, though, that we do entertain it and we do talk about it. And the question is, do you believe there's such a thing as an evil person? You know, an evil person is the opposite of good in most standards. And good means you connect, you want good for others, you accept good into your life, and you try to see perspectives of each other, and you really want to get along. Evil is everything opposite. You want to manipulate, you want to lie, you want to use people, you don't want to care about people. So in that sense, it almost sounds like, well, if you were evil, it would be due to a mental illness. But if you read the Torah or the Quran or the Bible or any of the great books and you talk to theologians, they will tell you there is a true evilness. And although evilness isn't a diagnosis in the DSM-5, I have had experience with someone who was evil, and he did not have a mental health diagnosis as far as I know. I don't think he ever went to a counselor. I don't think he would have. When I met him, he was a patient in a cancer center, and basically his mother came in with him, and she was elderly, and he was an older man too, and it sounds like he had lived his life for himself like this forever. I think what's important with evilness is that we be aware that evilness may be behind many other conditions that people label people. For example, narcissism. If you label someone as a narcissist, without having them tested, you just throw that label on it. It may actually be a version of evilness. It's just that you're seeing the toxicness of it and you're aware of the manipulation of it and the lies and how they'll use you and take advantage of you and how they don't care at all about others. It may be underneath things like abusers, people who abuse others, people who abuse pets. Evilness may be a component of that. But because it's not in the DSM-5 as a diagnosis, we never really talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it today, mostly in a way to help you understand why people lie and how you can prevent a liar or someone with the potential to be an evil person into your life. So the first thing that you have to understand is you may ask yourself, why would someone just live a life of lies? Well, there's many reasons that evil people or people that are liars will do it. And for example, they like maintaining the upper hand. If you can lie out of anything. You always have the upper hand to manipulate others. To present a good self-image. You know, you want to feel good about yourself, so you lie about it. Basically to create chaos. A lot of evilness loves chaos. And the reason they love it is because they can control it. And they love to say, I just watch people squirm. And when you hear that, it almost makes the hair on your arm stand up because they're enjoying seeing others hurt and destroyed. And lastly, to avoid the unpleasantness of truth. I mean, truth gets messy. Somebody has to take the fault. Somebody has to be responsible. People who are evil will never take responsibility for it. I classify evilness as a disconnect from spirituality. I think spirituality, the essence of it, is everything good. And so when you're disconnected with that, many times, and this gets into the whole line of reasoning of sin. When you sin, you're basically disconnected from a relationship with your God. Well, if you live a life of evilness, you're disconnected from any belief that there's anything other than you. And that not only that, but because you're the top or you're the king, it's your entertainment to manipulate and use others in a very underhanded, malicious way. So basically, let's talk about how you can prevent being involved with one of these people. The first thing is focus on yourself. People who are evil or people who like taking advantage of others like getting involved with sensitive people. They like getting involved with passive people. And the reason is because they can hook those people and they can use them in a way to make them work for them. Basically, they can do whatever they want to that passive person, and that passive person will put up with it. They'll settle with it because they start believing that they're not worthy of anything else. Stop judging your every move. People who judge their every move, worry about what they said, or are basically calculating or censoring how they come across, those people are basically just so easy to spot. And evil people who are narcissistic will pick up on that. They love that because they can twist that and make you feel like what you did was insensitive and cruel to others. And before you know it, you begin focusing on how you came across, trying to evaluate it. You become more and more egocentric. Your world becomes narrower and narrower, more in line and able to be controlled by a lying person who is toxic and going to use you, who is evil maybe at their heart. And that's so important that you're aware of that and you avoid focusing on all the things you do and rather start acting with authenticity. Next, look for initial cues. I can't tell you the number of people who have been involved with a narcissist or someone who is a constant liar, manipulator, toxic, evil person who basically, didn't stop with one or two red flags. They waited till there were all 10 flying. When you see someone who's presenting themselves as too good, too charming, will do anything for you, will lies like it's no big deal over little things, be aware. Those are signs you do not belong with that person. This is a person that has an evil component and you don't need it in your life. Identify with why you attract this type of person. I think a lot of times people who are passive, who like to sweep things under the rugs, maybe they're a little bit of a martyr, these type of people attract narcissists because they think they deserve it. And if you think you deserve it, then you're going to do more of it. So it only makes sense that you have to be more able to take responsibility for your actions, that you're actually attracting this person into your life. And lastly, don't be a victim. Do not be afraid to stand up to them. Have a plan. And when you have a plan, if this is a violent person, make sure you have an authority on your side who can basically help you get to safety. Whatever you need to protect yourself. Evil people, I believe, do exist. I believe they wear many masks. And perhaps the hardest thing of all is not seeing through the mask or them never taking the mask off so you can see clearly. But don't wait for numerous signs. Evilness is one of those things that we don't talk about in the science literature. We want a name for it. In the DSM-5, we want a label for it. But at the same time, you can't give it one label because there's many other things that are lurking underneath it. So if I had, like to answer this question, do I believe in it? Yes, I do. Have I ever experienced it? One time. That means that either I've been really lucky to avoid it, it isn't very common, or that I completely missed it. And all three of those are very possible.